Okay. One thing that I heard about a lot that personally I think is very scary, but I do want it to be addressed since it sounds like we have a lot of competent, members on our call, is why are we not thinking about bankruptcy or when or what is the point where that starts to become a conversation? Based on Rhonda, what you're saying, to me it feels avoidable, but I'm just curious if you guys want to weigh in on that as well.
My theory is I don't think we need to be bankrupt. I think we can do fine if we actually budget for what we're actually using versus budgeting what we budget. Number one. Number two, um, I'm not too sure if we had our town go into MARB or bankruptcy with the state of Connecticut. I'm not too sure that would be even a really great thing. I'm not too even sure how that even works. So I would say I say we work with what we have.
Gotcha.
The MAR would still tax our residents really high. They just wouldn't feel as bad about it. So to give ourselves and give up and go to the MAR wouldn't really be advantageous for like our neighbors, every one of us. The idea of bankruptcy, we will be exploring, right? So like we're getting a lot of questions and ideas from our residents and all the public input. Folks talking about phasing, folks talking about different mill rates. Our council's also saying all these different ideas. We are pooling everything that we've got to try to figure this out. So we've talked to our attorney, and they are going to also bring someone to us so we can ask about what happens when the town goes bankrupt.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Like, I don't know the pros and cons about a lot of these. I know some towns have done both MARB and bankruptcy and have had, after several years, positive outcomes. But we need to learn more. We need to learn more about the process, the pros and cons, the impact on residents before that happens. And I don't think that will happen in this budget cycle. That would be sort of something that probably take a little bit longer, but it's something that we need to know about so we can talk about really clearly. But I know everyone tells me not the MARB, not the MARB, but I need to know like why. Like, is there like why not the MARB? Like, because we're in a pickle.
So we do have some other questions, and I know that there might be other solutions. So I'm just going to recap really quick, and then I'm going to actually uh, give it over to Dominique, who is the council president, to see if she has some additional things that she wants to share as solutions. But so far, we've gone over as potential solutions. Number one, reevaluating the whole budget and seeing if we just don't need to spend all the money that we're spending, which seems really cool to me. Um, Thinking about, oh my gosh, I also have baby brain. I just had a newborn, so please excuse me. Talking to about to a consultant essentially about the opportunities to either spread the new taxes over time or to do other things with the revals that might feel less impactful to the residents in real time. I'm gonna go to the next page to just kind of show you some of the questions that came out and also give you a chance to answer them. But a lot of things that people are curious about are, you know, the Board of Education is asking for an increase. A lot of people are saying, can we flat fund it? We also want to make people aware, like, some of this stuff is contractual, like raises, for example. We just talked about unions and contracts and how that impacts the budget. A lot of people are curious about the increases in public works, which was touched on a little bit by Sarah, but we saw that was like a $40 million increase. And then also the future stability of the town. And then thinking about like raises, I hear that a lot. I'm not advocating for anything being taken away or added. I'm just saying that, like, for example, I ran the calculation, like if you got rid of the raises from the mayor's office, it doesn't change the mill rate really at all. But there's just a lot of things to consider. But those are the main concerns, is like why are we spending more money than we need? That, like, I think through Rhonda's calculation, I mean, it's more glaring than I initially had the question about. But do you have any other solutions, Dominique, that you guys are looking into to help get the mill rate down or adjust the budget in a way that doesn't necessarily remove all services, but also makes it hurt a lot less in terms of taxation cut this upcoming year?
So when Sarah was talking, she talked a lot about this idea of a phase in and what that means to be able to slow down the tax increase and have different rates, mill rates for commercial versus residential. We also explored throwing out that reval, right? So Tyler Technology did it wrong, right? Can we throw it away? Is the state going to accept that? Can we reverse as if the reval never happened, right? So we've asked the attorney about all those things. We've asked about what happens if we were to file for bankruptcy. We are looking into all sorts of ways to just cut it off the top when it comes to the cost, the bottom line of the expenses, right? So if we regularly have 3% falling to the fund balance, then that means that we can cut 3% off the top of this budget without questions asked, because we know that that is overtaxation. Councilwoman Kiley looked at our audit last year at the end of our budget period and saw that there was consistently those same savings. In the past 3 years, we've added $28 million to our fund balance. And Councilwoman Rhonda Caldwell is right. That's overtaxation. And Councilwoman Kiley brought that up last year. There is a certain percentage that consistently happens with our budget that we should just cut off the top, but it cannot be done alone. There needs to be other items that are happening along with it. We need to be looking at the reval and how lopsided our grand list is, and we need to be lowering our expenses. If we start to take out revenue, that $5 million, every one of them equals $1 million in taxation. If we start to ignore some of these expenses, every $5 million in the budget is $1 million in the tax rate. So even if we went down the $15 million that's on top from last year, right, from $299 to $314, even if we took that $15 million off, it's only $3 million. $3 million does not fix our tax problem. We have to take a multifaceted way. And to look through each budget line item to see where people have over budgeted has never worked in the past, right? We've looked at 5-year actuals. We've tried to nickel and dime. We've tried to change programming. And the most that we've seen cut out by looking line by line is about $3 million. We need to do an oversweeping change to say this just is not tenable. And we also need to look at what the lawyer and the consultant is telling us we're able to do and make sure it doesn't have a long-term impact. Someone asked, how much is that consultant? We've put a $10,000 cap on his work, right? So however much it is, it cannot go over that amount. And we'll just hope for the best and that we can do it within there.